we're incredibly lucky because I think I can speak for both of us to say that this is exactly the story we wanted to tell together. This movie represents a shared thought meld between the two of us about where our human creativity intersects with what we call faith. Is art an act of worship? And I really believe it is, and that's really what the movie's about. So the story we most want to tell right now is playing here in Stockholm.
So I recently watched your film, Wildcat, and I really thought that it beautifully portrayed Flannery O'Connor's painful struggle with creating and with, coming to terms with her kind of like instinctive need to create and to write. But even though she suffered, she still continued writing for all her life. So I wanted to ask you if you can see a bit of yourselves in her struggle and how you continue.
I think the wonderful thing about making films is that they are a collaborative art form, which takes a lot of that loneliness that she experienced out of the process. Our process of making her film was one of the least lonely experiences of my life, and which went really against what her experience of writing was like. But there are similarities to every creative process, and there's also real differences, and I'm very grateful to the togetherness of filmmaking.
Since you are both writers, I was wondering if you learned anything about writing from, both studying Flannery O'Connor and also embodying her in this movie.
There's a discipline to short story writers that I find thrilling that is kind of like being a film director. How can you make every shot matter? How can every shot be a new piece of information that is worth your time? And the great short story writers like Flannery O'Connor, they do it. They give you a whole novel in 7 pages. And it's heroic, and a good film does that too.
I think that's true. I think we both sometimes have a proclivity for finding the moment and working improvisationally. But what Flannery kind of taught both of us was that everything had to be intentional to make this film. Her work is like a razor blade, and if we made if we made a mop of a movie about her work, we would be in betrayal of her. Yeah. So everything had to be on purpose.
Yeah.
The subject of our movie is about trying to connect with other people and trying to tell the truth about what it feels like to be alive. So that's what we were trying to do, and that's what I think the festival's trying to do.
Yeah, I really found the relationship between a higher power and creativity really, really fascinating in this film. So I was wondering if you could talk to me a little bit more about that.
Well, that's a difficult subject to talk about, but in everything that we have to say about it, I hope is in the movie.
Yeah.
But I think we're all hunting for why we're alive. Why were we born? Why are we going through all this? What is the purpose of this? And whether it's a dance or a song or a movie or a novel or a great conversation, they somehow bring light into that conversation. And so
I've quoted and misquoted this David Foster Wallace idea a bunch of times about this, but that he talks about how you have to worship something. And God is an interesting option, and it's better than a lot of the other things that you can worship accidentally. If you don't really pay attention to what you're paying attention to, you might end up only worshiping money and the accumulation of wealth or beauty or youth or whatever it is. And so there are good options of what to worship and bad. And I think creativity is my option, and I think a better one than some of the other options. Yeah.
I think that's the thing for me. Art in itself can be enough to worship in a way. Last of all, I also wanted to ask you what you feel about this festival, how it's been so far, and what you're looking forward to.
Well, I think anybody in the world will tell you that this is the greatest film festival on the planet Earth. Everybody knows that. Yeah. It's a fact.
Yeah.
And so for us, it's a great honor to be here.
So the last time we were here was a very important time in my life. It was for a different movie of Ethan's, and it's so nice to be back here in Stockholm, and it's so so wonderful to be sharing this movie with you guys. It means the world to us, and it's when you're working on something that you have cared about the process of making and the subject matter this much, and you get to make it with someone that you love. It's so joyful to get to share it with people, especially in a place like this.
Yeah, and Maya comes from a long line of amazing Swedish women.
It's true.
She's right at home.
Yeah, I'll tell you all about it.
Okay, I would love to hear that. Thank you so much.